We have officially entered spring, and it's one of the most popular times for weddings in Houston. Unfortunately, 42% of marriages in the U.S. ended in divorce last year. When celebrities like Kevin Costner, Reese Witherspoon, and Sofia Vergara got divorced, it made headlines. When most regular people get divorced, others find out because it's part of public record and often in open court. But it doesn't have to be. There's actually a way to get things done, diminish the drama, and keep it out of the public eye. It's called collaborative divorce. The problem is not all lawyers practice it and may not even tell you it's an option. Joining us with more on what it is and how you as a couple, not a judge, decides are Susan Myres and Tiffany Vu-Lindahl with Myres Associates. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. We were talking before the show actually got started about how today's divorce landscape has changed, partly because we're living longer, we're in relationships longer, and then all of a sudden the kids grow up and go away and you're staring at each other and going, I'm sorry, who are you again?
It happens more than you know.
Yeah. Is that where we're seeing kind of the biggest growth of divorces in
The largest denomination of people getting divorced as far as percentages are people that are over 50. And there's still that 7-year itch.
Yeah.
Regardless of when you got married, because people are tending to marry later if they marry, because family law matters can be with a marriage or without.
Yeah, all right. Experience matters. 40 plus years practicing family law in Houston, board certified since 1988. Let's explain what board certified means, because I can't tell you how many times a friend has said, oh no, I have a friend who's a lawyer. I go, what kind of lawyer? I think they do patent or copyright or something. I'm like, that's not the one who should deal with family law, right?
Well, someone who's board certified has been accepted by the Texas State Bar as someone who has got enough experience so that they know all the issues that could come up in a family law matter.
Yeah.
They get tested, they get vetted, so they reach out to all of your references. They even reach out to people that you didn't list as a reference if you've had a case.
Yeah.
They want the judges that you've been before. So after you get through all that gauntlet, take the test and you pass, so you can be board certified. You recertify every 5 years.
Wow. Okay. You're the past president of the American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers, which shows your national leadership as well. All right, Tiffany, U of H graduate.
That's right. Go Cougs.
That's right. Go Cougs, especially right now, right? South Texas College of Law. You are on the Dean's Honor List, a licensed attorney since 2021, named also a rising star. All right. So you are on that modern end of like what divorce is, and so both of you together, it's like you have that deep experience from what used to be and incorporating it into what's happening today. All right, Houston family law firm. So family law is very specific. Sometimes people don't realize also that it's different from state to state.
Correct. In fact, that's why the Academy is such a good tool to have. If somebody's got an issue that they might be able to file for divorce in California or file here, I've got friends in California, we can get on the phone and say, here are the facts, which is the better state, get it filed quickly so that the best result can happen.
Yeah, all right. Every law firm has their fingerprint, if you will. And so, but with Myres Associates, what's one of the things that you all focus on in particular?
One of the things we focus on is collaborative law. So it's a different type of way of doing a divorce, and you could do it nationally, but it hasn't taken off too much here in Houston, but we'd like for it to.
Yeah, we'll get into the details of that in a second, but let's go through the 5 divorce methods, if you will. Kitchen table.
Sure, kitchen table. We sit at the same table. You don't need lawyers, anything. I've seen one written on the back of a napkin.
Oh, wow.
Brought to the office and go, this is the deal. We draft it up into the legalese. We make sure that it meets their criteria. We always suggest that please show this to another lawyer to make sure what we wrote here is what's on that napkin. And then they're done. That's the easiest way to do it.
Yeah. Mediation.
Mediation is when there's a neutral person that goes between room to room. Unlike a civil mediation where you start out in the same room, that turned out to be a really bad idea for family law. So they start out in separate rooms. That mediator helps negotiate back and forth. If there's a deal, get signed, and you're done.
All right.
But
Arbitration.
that can happen at the beginning of a case or at the end of the case.
Yeah.
All of our judges require it.
All right. Arbitration.
Arbitration, you're going to hire somebody with a black robe. The good thing about that, it is super private.
Yeah.
You decide when you're going to start your trial, you decide what your rules of evidence are going to be, you decide what your rules of procedure are going to be, and then that person in the black robe that you have hired, everybody has paid for that person, will make their rulings, turns into a court order, and then you're done.
All right, and then the one that oftentimes makes headlines or sets precedent cases can be litigation.
Litigation. That's when everybody has their independent teams with their independent experts and their independent expenses, and then you put all of that information after you've done tons and tons of discovery in front of a person with a black robe who knows very little about your family.
And then collaborative, as you mentioned, collaborative law, where this is where continuing education is important. And so collaborative law is the one where you kind of like take the sting out of so many things.
Yes. Kind of going off the tail end of litigation, it's very much so a positional statement. I did this, you did this, so I want this to happen. Whereas in collaborative, you focus more on a goal-oriented solution.
Yeah. All right. And this way, there's more control, more privacy, less conflict.
It is ideal. So in collaborative, we're all sitting at the same table.
Like this.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be all the same people. So you may have a financial person that's come into the case, and you can send the clients off to the financial person. They can go get their independent inventory, get validation. They can ask questions, all the things that you worry about. They're hiding money, or that she did this.
Or maybe a child specialist, just to make sure that the children are taken care of.
Right. And that person can be in a full team or individually. It's just ideal for people.
Yeah, and this is structured with rules. This is not just show up and have a conversation.
Right. Before you can even enter into it, you have to sign what's called a collaborative law participation agreement, and that's truly what starts the whole process. And then, like Susan mentioned, you can have a full team. So it depends on really what your case needs. You have your mental health professional that's neutral. This professional typically helps guide the way that the case is going to go. They tend to help with the parenting issues. And then you have your neutral financial professional too.
Yeah. All those specific things that you cannot overlook, and usually are the crux of why divorces can drag on for so long and get so contentious, right?
Yes.
And so a lot of the reason why people choose this is, one, is it protects the children from the conflict.
Right. It's for people who do not want their children to have to wonder, are we going to invite mom or dad to Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Are we going to, who's going to sit in the rows in the wedding? You want to make things easier. You don't want the first thing your kids say when they visit a therapist, when my parents divorced.
Yeah.
It's just.
And that happens for decades.
It does. So it's an alternative. It's not for everybody.
Yeah. But it can keep the personal matters private. That's the other thing.
Yes. It's about the only way that you can get into court. A court cannot order you to do it. And so once you enter into collaborative, a court kind of is hands off, and then they don't really bother you until you're ready to tell them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not every lawyer's expertise. It's kind of like when you go to a doctor, not every doctor knows how to do everything with medicine. So this is something that you chose to be a part of and offer as part of your services. And trained for, yeah. And so why did you do that? What were you seeing in your office that made you decide to do this?
Well, to me, it's just another tool in the toolbox. And then I had somebody like Tiffany, and our other lawyers also trained in collaborative. She really jumped into the pool. She's on the board for the Houston Collaborative Law Group. And she is very much into the process works if you follow the process. So I got into it because I want to have all the tools that my clients might need. And then Tiffany got into it because this is a better way for people to get their resolutions if they're willing to do it.
Yeah. All right. Who is this specifically for, or better suited for, I should say that way?
What would you say?
I think it's suited for people who prioritize privacy. It depends on their schedules, because really the whole process depends on the parties. They drive the boat. You know, you tell us when you're ready to go, and if we meet,
as opposed to a court saying, "Here's your date."
Yes.
It's too bad you're going to be at the Oscars that day, but here's your date.
Follow continuance. Yeah. Pretty much.
Well, and it's also for people of high net worth, because all of that information can go public, and you have to be very, very careful to keep that stuff out. 95% of our cases settle with or without collaborative, but it's when they settle and how much has been shared. So I think collaborative is really good for high net worth. It's for people who have extraordinary circumstances, multiple houses, children with special needs. It might be ideal for people who have substance abuse issues or mental health issues, because you can control. We're not going to go have a deposition for 6 hours. We're going to say we're going to meet Thursday afternoons from 2 to 4, so you have it set. You know, you can get your energy there. Or if you've got people that are elderly, or we've got some issues of some thought processes, we can have early morning meetings.
Yeah.
And it's you have your homework assignments. You know what's on the agenda. There's no secrets.
Right.
You have to be willing to do full disclosure.
And to your point of you do full disclosure there, but it's not disclosed in open records in terms of some of those very sensitive things that you just talked about. All right, who is it not for?
It is probably not going to be for people that don't have the need, as far as they don't have a lot of resources. It's not going to be for people who just want to go tell their story publicly. Because there are people
if you're just
that
thinking,
do
I'm just going to save money, you
Right.
can probably save some time and some anguish, but it's still in the world of getting divorced.
Well, I had one that was a one meeting.
Oh, wow.
I had a one meeting collaborative law. They had already done, the couple had already done quite a bit of their own work with their financial person. The financial person recommended them to go visit collaborators because they had some questions. They heard the answers in a group session. They went away. They sent us a joint email. Okay, we've resolved the issue on the children. Our financial person has sent you the spreadsheet. Please draft up.
Yeah.
And we were done.
So and if it doesn't work out, there are still other options that you can go to. But so far with you all with collaborative divorce, it's been about 100%. Hasn't it?
I've only had one couple that did not get their collaborative divorce, and they're still together.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay.
go.
Well, who knows? That might happen when you show up for collaborative divorce.
Well, think about it. In your collaborative meeting, you're having real conversations. What are your goals? I want the children to succeed. Oh, that's my goal too.
You know what's funny? It's probably the first time in a while that someone or as couples sat down and had a real conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when you do that, you have discovery on certain things that can we really work through this? And maybe sometimes you can.
Yeah, it's not unusual for someone to say, we're going to take a pause. And in collaborative, you can take a pause.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah. All right, ladies, thank you so much.
It's been so much fun.
All right, Myres Associates focuses again on family law, helping clients navigate divorce with more privacy, less conflict, and greater control. To learn more, give them a call at 713-622-1600. Again, that number is 713-622-1600. And you can also visit their website at thehoustondivorcefirm.com.